Hello, this is Wedding Talk Q&A with Pastor Garth, and we're here to answer some questions. I've been doing weddings now for quite a number of years, and these are some of the common questions that I hear when I meet with brides and grooms. Normally what happens at the start of the ceremony is the guests would come in, they would be seated on the bride's side and the groom's side. Then when we're ready to go, it would be the seating of the mother of the groom, then the seating of the mother of the bride. Then the gentlemen would take their place at the front of the ceremony location, and so that would be myself, the groom, best man, the balance of the groomsmen, and then the bridal procession would start. So the bridesmaid on the outside would come down first, followed by the rest of the bridesmaids, followed by the maid of honor. And if there's any little people, I mean like a flower girl or a ring bearer, they traditionally come down right before the bride, who is escorted in by her father. I would normally have everybody stand just for the bride. And so when the bride and the father of the bride make their way to the front, while people are standing, I open with scripture. And the scripture I normally open with is out of Corinthians. It's the love scripture. Love is patient, love is kind, does not envy. And then once the scripture's done, I have an opening prayer. You're just thanking God for that gift of marriage, that finding of that special person. And then I would have everybody take their seats, and then the welcome. That's the dearly beloved, we are gathered here together in the sight of God. Once the welcome's done, then I say, who gives this woman to be married to this man? And of course, Dad says, I do, or it's about time somebody asked me that question. And so then he would take his seat, and then before me, I would have the bride and the groom. At this time, I do the charge to the bride and the groom. The charge is the little mini sermon, if you want to say, the time that I get to give the couple a little bit of advice. And I give a bit of a spiritual charge as well as a very practical charge. And my wife tells me that in order to have a good ceremony, I have to make them laugh at least once and cry at least once. So we try to have a little bit of fun, and of course, in a wedding, it's that magical time, and so tears are kind of easily come at that time as well. Once the charge to the bride and groom is done, then I do a charge to the witnesses. Now, these are the most important people in your lives. They're the ones that you've handpicked to be here, and so I give them a little bit of advice on how they can help the couple in their marriage together. Once that's done, then we start with the vows. The vows come in two parts. The first one is the question, do you take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife? If so, say I do. Make it very easy for you, a bit of a no-brainer. I realize that you're kind of under the spotlight up there and maybe a little nervous. And then I would ask the bride, do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? If so, say I do. And then once that's done, I would have you turn towards one another and hold right hands. And a right hand signifies your word. This is the time of the ceremony that you're going to make each other some promises. So when you hold right hands, it's kind of symbolic of your word. And then I would have you repeat after me. In the traditional vows, I, Garth, take thee, Debbie, to be my wedded wife, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. I pledge to you my life. Those are the standard vows. And then I would have the bride repeat that. Once the vows are done, then we do the ring ceremony. It's pretty straightforward. The two rings are produced. I normally say something a little mushy about the ring, and then give it to the groom and say, now I want you to place this ring in the fourth finger of your bride's left hand and repeat after me. With this ring, I thee wed. This is a token of my love for you. Once the ring ceremony is done, then we do the pronouncement. That's the declaration. Husband and wife kiss the bride. Once that's done, then we do another scripture and prayer. The scripture that I do at this point in this ceremony is the one out of Matthew, and it says, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united with his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And then the closing prayer, And there's basically, there's a number of things that I pray. It's almost like a blessing over your household. And there's 4 very specific things that I pray, is that you would have a house filled with peace, joy, that it be prosperous and productive. And so that covers a lot of bases. Then we go and sign the registry and the marriage license. That would be 5 signatures required there, bride and groom, myself, and the 2 witnesses, which is traditionally best man, maid of honor. And then we come back. I have you face your guests. I read a final poem, or recite a final poem, and then I introduce you as Mr. and Mrs. And then there's a bit of a hoot and a holler, and then away you go. So that's the standard ceremony.